Greetings and good morning, everybody. Pardon me, let me clean this screen. Greetings, and good morning, everybody who shall see this rather now or later. So I'm going to give a moment before, there's any uh, activity. Even if there's no activity, just going to take a sip of my coffee. Greetings, and good morning. So yesterday I did the reading. By the way, I don't just do readings. I also will give you truth and spiritual evidence, and not just spiritual evidence, but I will also give you, science evidence as well about certain things that I might talk about, such as the reading yesterday, which I said warning. Well, excuse me, war is in your world, meaning your environment, meaning in your life, meaning inside of your body, inside of your spiritual compass, right? So some would ask, how is that even possible? Well, I would challenge those who ask to do their own research. But last night I started to get, a bit of insight and a download to kind of break this down. And I decided to go into some of my mentoring, skills from being mentored. And I remember my mentor wanting me to study on the mind ultimately, because when we're talking about psychic activity, when we're talking about things like mind control, and also shifting the way that we think, and how do we transform the way we think. See, a lot of people, like I said, they drop a lot of these words, but they can't tell you a thing. They can't do the breakdown, the neuroscience about these things. They could just use words. Well, I'm going to show you something a little bit more educational, right? If this bores some people, well, this is not for you. But for those who are interested in subconscious programming and neuroplasticity, NLP, I hope I said that right. If I didn't say it right, forgive me. It is early in the morning. So I'm going to give you a bit of a breakdown about subconscious programming. Before I say anything, subconscious programming is not a negative thing. It is a positive thing, but it can be also used for the sake of manipulating people, because this is how both people in higher places toy with you with the news, and now more than anything with social media. So I'm going to take another sip of this coffee here. Mm. And then I'm going to start to talk about it. So you will see here we start to talk about the mind. This is going to be a complete topic about the mind, either way. So in the mind, there are two elements. You have your conscious, and then you have your subconscious. So that's the two different minds that you have in the mind: the conscious and the subconscious. The conscious mind is connected to your personal identity. So that is your personal self, your authentic energy signature. And your spirituality, whatever you believe in, that is connected to your creative mind. That is where, a lot of spiritualists, like even like what I'm doing, this is part of my spirituality, and I get very creative, and I will create a conversation, you know. Um, then we have the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is the place where all the programming is stored. That's where all this info is stored, right? So this is how mind control begins. So what I'm gonna purposely do, so I don't get too distracted, I'm gonna put a piece of paper over the comments here, because I don't want to get distracted while I'm talking about this with you all. Okay. So how does the subconscious mind, become controlled? Well, you got to remember there's programs from the time we are born, which is theta hypnosis, right? We're talking about theta hypnosis as it relates to the subconscious mind. This is where all the data in the subconscious mind is stored, the programming that you go through in your life. That's where everything is stored at. Then we speak about the fate of a cell. Now, this is where the human body is affected by these programmings, whether it's social media, government, your family, your spiritual, religious systems. The fate of a cell is determined. The human is not a single organism. The human body is a skin covered culture dish with 50 trillion cells. Okay? So that means that in your blood there contains a lot of information. So when you're watching these programmings and they're coming into your brain, they're becoming food, literally. They're becoming literal food for your blood. So all those programs, all that, it becomes food to your blood, which has all this information, literally based off of your mind. So then we go into talking about how you can eat organic foods. This is what it really means when people are starting to eat healthy and eating foods that are really healthy and nutritious for the brain. This is because of the environment and how it controls your literal behavior and your genetics. When a mother is pregnant, right? That's what we call epigenetics, right? When a mother is pregnant with a child, her literal environment is infected if it's in around a lot of negativity and it creates literal genes. How is that possible? Because all that food, whether it be food, stress hormones, anything that affects that is being fed to that child and is creating genes. This is how a lot of our children and family loved ones, besides the fact that it's already within their DNA, this is how they can end up becoming neurodivergent also. And there's a lot of that happening. And it's making me wonder, right? So you can eat organic, healthy foods to create a healthier culture dish in the blood, right? You can eat healthier foods that create healthier cells and healthier genetics, right? Now, for some, I know this is boring, but for those who came to get the, more than just a reading, welcome. Okay. So I want to move on to the environment because this is going to lead to what I was talking about on my reading yesterday, the behavior patterns and activities. This is where these people start to really affect all of us from social media. So we have behavior patterns and activity. We have neurochemicals and hormones and emotional chemicals in the body that will control the fate, that will organize it to be, in harmony with whatever the conditions of the environment is. So we're going to break down environmental signals and what is responsible for controlling the fate of our biology and our mind. So we're going to break down mind interpretation. The mind does interpretation signals of its perception to its environment, right? So we're going to talk about the biology of it all. We're going to talk about these hormones in the brain. So belief is what gives our mind perception and it controls our beliefs. So I want to talk about how we find pleasure in social media because and just in general. And that's what dopamine, right? That's that pleasure syndrome. That's where we put up a post and we're getting all the likes, we're getting all the attention, and we're enjoying it. Even me doing this topic, the hormones in my brain are shooting off dopamine right now because that's pleasure. I love to talk about these things. I enjoy it. So this is how when we're on the social media, we get a very joyful feeling from teaching, from sharing, and this is how these types of people kind of get into it. You're into this at this point right now. So that's the dopamine effect. And then we have the oxytocin, right? See that's where the other pleasure senses are in the brain. So we have the oxytocin. So we love what we're doing, right? And we find joy, love. We find somebody we might have a crush on, and we start to enjoy their content. We're enjoying it. And hear this: there are also some people who find joy in a lot of negative, wicked things. There are people that find joy in seeing people fighting in the streets. There are people that enjoy seeing negativity. There are people that get a lot of joy out of violence. There are a lot of people that get a lot of joy out of harassing people and doing unhealthy things. Are you with me? And then we got vasopressin. See, that's where the little freaks come in. I ain't judging nobody because, hey, like I told y'all yesterday, I like to be entertained, but I also like to learn a little bit. Vasopressin, that causes you to be more attracted to someone, especially your partner. And don't get me wrong, these are good hormones, especially when it comes to relationships, because actually, when you mix dopamine, oxytocin, and vasopressin in a relationship and those hormones from your brain shoots off, that's what creates a very healthy relationship because you're in that honeymoon state with that person. And it's actually good for your vitality and it's actually really healthy. But these things can become unhealthy when the mind is being intoxicated and infected with negative environmental signals that goes right to your blood cells, that goes right shooting off through the brain. Hmm? These chemicals become released right through the blood. Now, in a positive way, if we're using subconscious programming, saying positive affirmations, saying positive things about yourself, being around positive people who speak healthy, and when you speak healthy in yourself, you begin to start glowing, and it enhances growth and vitality in your system. That's healthy. That's healthy cortisol. But this is how the infection and how, when I was talking to you about how the war is really going to start worldwide, this is how it happens. There's also a hormone by the name of cortisol norepinephrine. I know that's a big word. Let me tell you something. It took me a good minute to really try to pronunciate that word when I was getting mentored. That is cortisol norepinephrine. I said it's short and a little a little short. No, excuse me, cortisol norepinephrine. That is a hormone. That hormone changes the circulation of the body, and it will put us in a growth phase. But instead, it won't put us in a growth stage of positivity or health. It's a stress hormone. It puts you in fight or flight, which puts us in the mindset of we got to save ourselves. We got to save ourselves. There's a war going on, and everybody starts arguing and fighting. And then it gets to the point where, because of the negativity of social media, everybody can't agree with each other. People start to, out of nowhere, feel like they want to hurt each other. They're stressed out. Their children are dealing with neurodivergence. They don't have enough money. Their relationships are failing. They can't get along with their baby father. Certain tribes can't get along with each other. Religions can't get along with each other. Cultures, nationalities can't get along with each other. Countries can't get along with each other. This is how war starts with people. And then as we're talking about addiction, this is how the addiction starts with fear, because fear causes certain unhealthy things in our immune system, and this shuts down the immune system, by the way, with chronic fear. So whatever program that we are allowing our minds to becomes our belief, and guess what? That ultimately becomes our reality. Excuse my handwriting, it's not that best. If you want to write this down for yourself, that's amazing. Because if you copy this down, I mean, that's good too. So we are the architects of our own experiences. This is where you have heard people like Reverend Ike talk about being in the what they call it, being in the theater of your own mind. This is why you have to subconsciously reprogram yourself from a positive aspect, literally in your mind, whether it's a meditation or just sitting still and seeing a world for yourself and shifting a timeline for yourself that is positive and feeling like it's real, and saying certain words and seeing colors with them. See, that's how you reprogram and shape your cells and your reality. This is real. Okay, I had to pay to get this knowledge, real talk. The conscious mind and the subconscious mind has certain functions. The conscious mind, lobe of the neural tissue that's right behind your forehead, known as the prefrontal cortex. See, that's the front of the mind, and that's how we begin to function with the mind. This is the seat of your personal identity, the sorcerer of your spirituality. That's how we get creative, us spiritualists. That's how we manifest the things that we want with that. I mean, if I ain't talking about shit, I ain't talking about shit. Now, negative thought, that is the opposite of a positive thought. And that can go right into our environment. We become negative, and even we can cause death. Let me say that again. A negative thought is the opposite of a positive thought, and it can create your environment to become negative and can even cause death. The conscious mind is creative. That's how these people set that intention, because what they think and what they do and put into action for you to get that way and for them to have a negative intention, that's how they can create and manifest that. If you want to write that down, I suggest you get out a pencil and a paper and start to pay attention a little bit. The subconscious mind, that's a record playback. See, that's the things that we're downloading when we're talking about theta hypnosis in the brain, and how all those things that are fed to us from the time we are a child till the time we are about 8. We're still a child, but we're 8 years old, and then we head into being 10 years old, and that's when we start to become a conscious, slowly consciously aware, and we're pushing up to beta. So the subconscious mind is a record playback. It has a mechanism. It has records of certain behaviors that we see from our parents. This is also based off of your environment. And this is how it plays with social media because they know that you are familiar with certain things. And it records your behaviors. And when we need that behavior, it will automatically hit play. So that means all this shit that they feed down you with this negativity that sets those neurotransmitters off into your brain, into your blood, into your literal being, into your literal reality, because it's already, especially if you come from a background that's already volatile and very violent, just the fact that social media becomes negative, when that shit sets off in your brain, you go into fight or flight. Are you with me? That's how people can easily worldwide begin to have war right in their own environment. It's that easy because even if you're not keeping up with social media, somebody around you is, and they cause war right in your home, right in your environment. Mm. This is how massive shootings in certain places start to happen. And when you're asleep, remember I said you don't even know what is real and what is not because there are certain particles that are so small that are in the environment, sprayed into the environment, that you literally inhale them and they go into your blood cells and into those hormones in your brain. You thought I was playing when I was talking about those types of things. I'm serious about those types of things. I study those types of things. I've lived it. Then we have habitual, that's instincts, experiences, acquired behavioral beliefs. That's the behaviors that you observe. And when you're observing it on social media, like I was talking about, and I never got a chance to really break down when I was talking about the freaks at night. I want to go back to that with that vasopressin. I never got a chance to talk about that part. See, this is why when you're on social media, and especially for us, queer folks, this is how they get us. Make sure people, that's in that space. I want y'all to really, really listen. This is how they really use that part of your brain, that vasopressin. As soon as you get up on your Instagram, I tell you, I have set up my Instagram to mainly focus on topics like this: neuroscience, spirituality, psychic information, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And I get up on there, and because I have LGBTQ in my algorithms, I'm seeing all these boys and some trans girls and whomever in my community sticking their ass out, got their feet all up in the camera. And like I said, and I'm not scared to say it, I don't mind being a little entertained. I don't mind that. But at the same time, you're sticking that down my throat. Why? I don't even know these people. I know nothing about these people. But why do you want me to keep seeing it? So that's where I go back to habitual instincts, experiences, acquired behaviors. This is how certain obsessions with people begin. This is why some people become obsessed with their certain celebrity figures. They hate them because they want them. They want a certain pleasure from them. They're constantly seeing them. They're constantly seeing certain things about them. And it's downloaded in their brain by people in the community on social media. And even if they don't talk with people about this, in some fashion, somebody is whispering in your brain. I ain't gonna talk about that today. So we're talking about certain habits and genetics. These things are already programmed into you. They're downloaded into you. They're downloaded into your environment from your parents. And now the programming is happening into your adulthood. And children are already having these types of programming happen to them right now via social media. This is what's happening now. This is why they have certain legal cases that they have to go through with children because they're starting to realize that the algorithms are purposely getting children addicted to social media all day long. And then they get older and they start to do these unhealthy patterns. This is how world war starts. I ain't got to talk about it, but I'm keeping it real. It ain't got to be this year, but this is how they are starting it. And right from a young age, I have a 3-year-old nephew who already uses YouTube. And all that crazy shit, if you're not paying attention, that's poured down YouTube or with all them apps that you're using. And those kids, you ever notice, especially with neurodivergent children, how they have to keep re-listening to that over and 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 over. And then you start to realize, why are they doing that? And you tune it out because you were like, okay, that's their condition. They're going to do that. They're going to kind of have repetitive behaviors. But think about why they want your neurodivergent or just your child who's not dealing with neurodivergence to constantly keep going back and forth. Because even when they're asleep, That thing is playing in their brain. Hmm. Hmm. And there's certain waves that gets played while we're asleep. Okay? And we think we're dreaming, but we're not. Somebody's sending silent brain waves and whispering into you. But I'm not going to talk about that. That's a topic for another day. So I'm just going to end it here because I just wanted to bring real quick because I'm not doing the reading today, but maybe in a few days this week, I'm gonna keep it real. I probably, will drop a little bit more information. But see, what I wanted to give you is a little bit of knowledge, something real, because I'm not just talking about this to get you riled up. I'm going to give you facts so that you can go back to that reading, and then you can also come back to where I just talked about how the mind is controlled and what you can do with subconscious programming for yourself and NLP. Okay, that's neuro linguistics programming. That's, like I said, you talk about affirmations, thinking about a word and a color, recording yourself for at least 10 minutes, saying positive things about yourself, saying positive affirmations about yourself, speaking positive things in your life and recording them, and then putting your headphones on while you're asleep so you get proper programming. I just dropped something on you just now, but I don't know if you hear me. I don't know if you hear me. Those are positive ways of reprogramming your subconscious mind, watching something other than just negative things upon the internet, on the news. And, yeah, people are going to say these negative conversations because that's hell. They're doing the programming for you. You don't even have to have social media. People are going to program you when they're talking about it. But you've got to be able to subconsciously reprogram yourself. I just dropped something on you. I thought I'd just swing by real quick this Sunday morning and give you something real quick, other than just the reading. I dropped facts. With that, I hope everybody has a good Sunday. I love doing this. This is something that I love to do. This is how my subconscious brain works. It works in creativeness, it works in positive. And yeah, I'm surrounded by all the negativity, but you got to take control of your own mind so that although these things are happening, you've got to find the toolkit for yourself to reshape and reprogram yourself. Peace be with you. See, they wasn't ready.